All right, good evening, everyone. It's 5:03. We'll begin our regular school board meeting for the month of April. Thank you all for being here, and thank all our guests for being here. Appreciate that. Board members, in front of you, you have a proposed agenda for tonight's meeting. Any changes or additions we need to make? We're going to make some changes.
You got it? No. You got it. No, she's gonna say we didn't. I have some changes on the policy.
Okay.
First reading.
All right. Is that policy 5.802?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Can I write that in during the insurance and policy section? Awesome. Any other changes to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion? To approve the agenda and a second. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. I heard nothing. Very good. Well, then that's our agenda for the evening. If all would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Board members, you received the minutes from our March 6th meeting in an email from Ms. Williams. Floor will be open for a motion to approve that or make any necessary changes.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Further discussion. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. Great. Also, you had disbursements for the month of March emailed out today. You haven't done so, we want to take a look at those. Now would be the time.
Is this HVAC, is that all done now? These, do we have any more?
Not everything, but
It's
most of it.
close to being
Yeah,
done?
it's getting
Yeah.
really close, yes, ma'am.
A motion to approve
Second?
and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. Thank you. All right, from our principals, Ms. Whitenack.
Hi, good evening. Hi, how's everybody? This is one of our fifth graders, Taraja Ewing, and when I first came to Ralph Askins, she was in the third grade. She was at the end of the long hallway, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you going to be my new principal?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, okay. She was like, okay. Like I thought, she was supposed to be impressed, I thought. Okay. All right, that's fine. But in an alternate universe where principals and students are BFFs, this is one of my little BFFs here. So she is going to do amazing in middle school. Ms. Jean, take care of my babies. All right. Go ahead.
My name is Taraji Ewing, and I am a 5th grade student at Ralph Askins. In the 5th grade, we are learning how to write essays, place values, and genetics. And I love my school because I like to learn. We are having a very busy April at RIS. We are having the Roaring Tiger Art Festival on April 6th, our TCAP testing parade on April 21st, and we will begin TCAP testing on April 24th. Please come out for our art festival and to our TCAP parade because we are going to rock the test. We have one thing to say. This is right now.
We do. Taraja, what could it be? Maybe.
And as always, go Tigers!
Taraja. Yeah, that's what I got with the new principal. Yeah.
All right, you did great. Can you tell me who you have with you?
Yes, I have my mom, Maya March, and my oldest sister, T.A.J. Ewing.
Thank you so much for looking at me. You're beautiful.
Inching.
Could I ask a quick question? Roaring Tiger Art Festival, what are the hours of that? Do you remember?
3:30 to 7.
3:30 to 7.
Mm-hmm. 3:30 to 7.
On my calendar. Awesome, thank you.
You ready?
All right, Ms. Jean, that's gonna be hard to talk.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for coming.
Hi, hey,
Hey,
my name is Karina Patel and I'm in 6th grade. I'm a member of the Beta Club and I played soccer last year and I'm planning to play again this year. I'm going to tell you some special events going on in our school. This week we'll have our 2nd annual Are You Smarter Than a Middle Schooler? Food will begin starting at 5 o'clock and the fun competition between students and parents will begin at 5:15. This game of trivia will allow parents to see if they can correctly answer TCAP questions from all subjects. This is free for
we
all.
won't be there. All right?
We hope you join.
Don't make us ask questions.
Last week, we opened our Tiger Exchange store. We had over 30 parents to come in and cash in their money for their child's attendance. Parents got to choose from washing detergent, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, toothpaste, deodorant, body wash, soap, socks, and many other things. The Tiger Exchange store will open again the week of May 15 for all our parents. A couple of other important upcoming days are Thursday, April 13th, we will have a band concert at 7 o'clock. This will take place at the high school. Saturday, May 6th, 6th grade night starting at 5:30. Tuesday, May 9th, we will have open house for 5th graders. We will have a special performance by Steve Trash. Before I go, I would like for everyone to know how excited I am to continue being a middle school student. I enjoy all the fun things that are planned throughout the year for students, such as test rewards, behavioral field trips, and athletic events. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak. I have my dad, Praveen Kumar.
Thank you for allowing me to come.
That's great. Well done.
Good job.
She just got all that information today like at lunch. And noticed she had half of it memorized already.
Yes, she did good.
She's on one of the school video that y'all will see her
Oh, great,
and did a
great.
fantastic job. So you'll be seeing her face.
And I don't know if you've seen anything on social media, whatever, about the school store, but not on our social media, but parents have just been really, really pleased with that. I think that is a huge thing in the right direction for positive reinforcement for parents, and I think we're going to continue to do more of that. That is exceptional, and that came out of the blue ribbon process. So that's well worth it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, great job. What a public speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. McCormick, You set some pretty high.
We have Mr. Vincent Buchanan with us tonight. Originally, we had a softball game scheduled, so 2 of our scope delegates weren't going to be able to be here, and so changing schedule, and we got a little more attendance. So I'm going to let Vincent take over and do what he does best. So.
Run the show.
So this year, me, Tiaja, and Kinsley, all 3 of us, we attended the SCOPE conference. This year we had 4 new policies that we're going to go over with you. We're going to share our experiences and what SCOPE was like for us. So I'm going to let Tiaja start us off with her experience.
It was my first year going to the SCOPE thing, and this was not planned, so I really don't know what to say, but I had an amazing time. I met new people. I learned about the school board, and we did a simulation of it, and yeah, that was about it.
As far as my experience, this was my 3rd year doing SCOPE. This is my last year doing SCOPE now that I'm a senior. It was probably my favorite year of doing SCOPE because this year it was more of a debate rather than a yay or nay situation, because this year we had more students from across Tennessee, Moore County. We had kids from LC, RCA come, and we all got to put our heads together and think about these new topics. And we have 4 new topics here. And the 4 topics that we discussed this year were: should 2 students representatives be on the school board in a non-voting position? This got voted as a pro, so students like Isabella who are serving in a non-voting position, we want to see more students in her position, and we want to see more people get in a leadership role, and we think this is a good start for them to get pushed out into that role. Another one we had was: should club sports be replaced with physical education? This was a pro and con 50-50. Physical education, we want to keep that mainly for the wellness side, what you take into your body, the good, the bad. But for club sports, it was argued that we'll have more student athletes participate because they get to pick their specific region of sports. So if you have football players, they may not get to play football in gym, but if they do club sports, they'll have a better chance of doing that, and that could be their physical activity. But the side part about that is they wouldn't get their wellness part or their textbook part. Another one we had was submitting electronic threats through zero tolerance. That was automatically a pro. That's just something we have to keep. We don't want online assaults or threats. So that was across the board for everybody. And last but not least, should students, specifically seniors, compete in a career readiness program within schools? This was similar to our work-based learning and our capstone, except it would be a course taught at the school rather than students getting to leave and go to work. But on one side, that one girl argued, she was from Johnson City, she said that we don't want to push students to have to decide now, and that you always have all the time in the world. Even if you go undecided as a senior graduating, you don't want to be forced, or you don't want to be in the position that says, hey, you need to figure out what you want to do from a financial or personal standpoint. And I really like that idea that she came up with. So those were our 4 new topics this year. It was really exciting, and I'm sad it's my last year, but it's also bittersweet because I got to do it one last time before I graduated. So that was my experience at SCOPE. Thank you.
Who do you have with you? We've not met these people. And,
Why not? Throw them out.
Vincent, do you have anybody with you?
I think I do.
All right.
I guess Pamela Bryson, I think it is.
Cool. Well, congratulations. SCOPE is a big deal. I've always thought it was a great learning experience. Great to meet other students from across the state, right? Because it's a statewide sort of get together. I have certificates here from TSBA, Tennessee School Board Association, for your participation in this year's SCOPE conference, and so I think I will run around here and hand those to you. I have one for Kinsley Ryan, who I take it is not able to join us tonight because of her
last minute change.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I understand that. But I do want to present Tiaja your certificate. Well done. Thanks for representing us. And congratulations, Vincent. Thank you for representing us as well. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I know y'all are working on some budget stuff tonight, so if y'all want to throw in a few extra dollars for Vincent for taking work off me, that would be greatly appreciated.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've encouraged, the only thing I can say is, there's your next director of school. He's helped me out forever.
Make sure he clicks on the link.
He's at least, he deserves a token no matter what.
He does, that's right. All right, well, there's a lot of exciting stuff. Of course, this is a time of year where it's just exploding in the school calendars, right? It's so much cool.
I do want to make one comment. It gives me such great joy to watch parents and those. That's my favorite part about sitting up here. Is, you know, we see the smiles and you see that man over there that is just filming the whole thing. And you know, to us, I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, and it's a sure big deal to those parents, and that means so much to them. So I hope that that's something that's always continued on, because man, there's some happy people right there.
Great representatives of the school system, that's for sure. All right, Mr. Jones, supervisor's reports. If you'll kick us off.
It's good to see everybody this evening. I'll try to keep my report as brief as possible. As far as our projects, everything's still going along according to plan. There was a question earlier about HVAC. It is very near completion. We're into the fine points. So a lot of the hardware is in place, everything's rocking and rolling, and then we're trying to make sure the Schneider control devices are going to work right with our hardware from the ESSER project. So we're at that level now. We have functional HVAC most places. We also got our bids in for one of the projects that I'd mentioned to you, I believe 2 meetings ago, with the boilers, where I'd gotten confused on the dates and that time. Those boilers, the bids came in favorable. So we're going to be able to complete that project also under these funds, which is going to be an immense savings in in our gas rates. So we're very pleased about that. We did get our money. It was one of the most daunting tasks of my career, but we did get. We got our first reimbursement. That will be sending a canceled check for that to Greg, who will then send that document to TEMA, which will stop our first grant, and then everything is on go with the second grant. The storms that we've been having will create some delays. That is their business. So I still anticipate summer, late summer, a lot of activity going on. I don't see any reason to think that's not the case right now, but I'll let you know if anything changes. And of course, our thoughts are with those who are suffering with those catastrophes and crises. That is the bulk of my report, but I'm happy to try to answer any questions if y'all have any. Thank you.
Again, great job, and the idea of having to close himself in the office and be a private investigator has been.
Yes, I learned a lot, though. It was a learning opportunity.
Proud, so.
That's great. That's great. It's nice to think maybe we primed the pump now on this system so that as they send funds in the future, now it's a smoother process. That's good. You have to learn. Ms. Dodson, please.
So, we're super excited to get the ISM grant in, which is the Innovative Schools. Turnaround on that's typically been 6 to 7 days, which would put our approval the first of next week. The things we're going to implement with that, with what we proposed, were a graphic design computer science class, which will be at Fayetteville High School. We're going to pay for the teacher salary, so by the time the students enroll, you guys have seen the TISA funding formula, as opposed to a student being in study hall, we put them in there, then we take over the salary as the funds are generated by the student enrollment. So we're going to have those computer classes also as a piece of that. We're going to have an in-house dual enrollment in our health science, which will be the math for meds and AMP. And we're going to have the welding at Arians. The goal is that class will be up and running by the beginning of August. So Lisa's gonna have a breakdown when I'm ordering welders, and she's saying, the money's approved, but you gotta have all your POs in by April 15th, but it's gonna go, I promise. Also an FMS computer science and coding class. So we have put the money in for a salary for that, and that's gonna link together and be our school-based enterprise. Kellen Hockett, I hate he's graduating, but we're gonna do a t-shirt and banner and that type of school-based enterprise that'll be a piece of it. And because I had some money that we had to move around, we had about $50,000, wrote in a greenhouse to be in the grassy area there by the middle school. They could be shared by both schools. So hopefully that gets approved, and remember, it's a 4-year grant. So the trajectory is it's not like a 1-year turnaround. And I want to brag on Eric and Jeff. Lisa and I have talked about this. I think we're spending down those ESSER 2.0 funds. We got an email, we're going to have them all out by June the 30th. And I think for the bang for the buck, what we did with our money is going to be incredibly impactful in our school system. I mean, we were very wise in spending it. These guys kept going under budget, so that allowed it to go for more HVAC systems. So ESSER will be finished as of June 30th.
And because my wife's in the business of sales and all that, you'll be surprised at the school systems that have not planned appropriately and are scrambling trying to spend money, where we've actually got a good plan. So good job on that, Regina. You've done a great job with that. What about the van?
Oh, I forgot. Yes, I also wrote in a 9-passenger $50,000 van that can be used to transport work-based learning students, students who are going to the TCAT, CTE students, and then after hours, whatever we would need it for. So we would have the 7-passenger. I know Mr. Jones is checking on insurance, but those vans, we don't realize how much money we save on busing. And a lot of times he doesn't have bus drivers.
And so, we don't have access to the city one anymore because of the way the insurance is done.
Because Jeff took it away, right?
Yeah.
That's a joke. Make sure we put it on camera. Yeah, that was a joke. So now you're awake. So what did they talk about at that board meeting?
He thought everybody was safe. I
think it was actually Danny Winnigat.
But I think that's because we need it. It's
Yes,
a very valuable tool.
absolutely. And as we've got lots of students going lots of places, it's just going to be very, very instrumental. And work-based learning. We can, take our kids there to work. We went from 0 kids enrolled in work-based learning 2.5 years ago to 67 currently in a work-based learning setting. So, all right, you guys got any questions for me?
I do. So I'm very excited about the computer science, the coding class, all that. Are you and you have high hopes that will be approved for this grant to do this?
I think it'll be approved on Monday. Here's the reason. We were actually one of the last people to turn ours in. So the big advantage to that was this: we didn't have a partner. So we needed that Arians partner to put the welding program in. Remember, the Vice President Frankie wanted to do it, but they didn't have the power and the space. The also beauty of it was I got to see other people's who were approved. So because I got to see that, I have no reason to think everything we have has already been approved in somebody else's grant.
Okay. And then that, so if the grant's approved, then that entails staffing those positions.
Yes.
Are you
confident? I'm very confident because we are participating in programs where we already have, remember the attrition deal. So we have some people on staff. For example, Ms. Rulander had a 4-year degree. She was able to go take a test. She actually is certified now for the graphic design course to teach it.
There you go.
And the other deal on the middle school is we actually have some educational assistants as well who are potentially looking at picking up that certification. And remember, it's a 4-year trajectory. So we are definitely going to have the graphic design next year because we have that person that we know has it. Middle school, if we don't get it implemented first thing, we could do it in January. We could pick it up. That's the beauty of a sort of a grant over a trajectory of years.
Wow, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Thank you.
So, any questions from you guys? All right, and we'll let you drive the van when we get it.
Thank you.
No, insurance will.
All right, Ms. Tootle?
I'll piggyback on what Ms. Stotson said about work-based learning. We've definitely increased our work-based learning opportunities, especially for our students with disabilities. We're super excited. We have 2 students with pretty significant disabilities placed in a work-based learning environment, one at a restaurant and one at Lincoln County Health System at the hospital. So we're excited about that. Super appreciative to work collaboratively with Ms. Dotson, and we've got that Teaching All Students, that TAS grant through the state. So we've been working with the state, have an excellent teacher at the high school who works hard to find the right opportunities for those kiddos. Most exciting news probably right now in my world is we are working on registering athletes for the Special Olympics. The Spring Games is going to be in person and happening for the first time in quite a few years. It'll be May 9th at Tullahoma High School, so we're excited about that. We are in the process of planning extended school year, so we have some students with disabilities who will receive services over the summer. We're working with, Miss Claudia is going to tell you, Dr. Stiles will tell you some about the summer learning camp, so we're collaborating with those, so our students will be involved in that and receiving some extended school year services as well. We've been super busy verifying our data for our annual performance rating, our APR, which is looking really good. We've increased our participation in EOCs and TN Ready for our students with disabilities. We've also obviously increased significantly our inclusive opportunities for our students with disabilities, 3 to 5 year olds, through our collaborative pre-K classroom. We got our IEP monitoring results. In fact, I got a text earlier in this meeting. They're there, so I'm super excited to go look at those and see what we need to do to fix those. And I can let you guys know about those in the next meeting. Any questions?
Great job. Well done. Thank you. That's exciting. Dr. Stahl?
Good evening. We met with our summer camp leadership team, and we had a great meeting. It was our principals and some of our coaches and supervisors, and we all planned together how this would look.
Not athletic coaches either.
Yeah, our academic coaches, math and reading. But we talked a lot about the third grade retention or promotion process, and we set up time, place, all the details about the camp, and I'm sure you already heard it because Sandy went ahead and put it on the robocall, so you may have even received a phone call about it. So now we're in the process of just recruiting students, and I was very glad to hear the principals wanted it to be, I know it's focused on math and reading, but they want it to be fun, interactive. You know, we want to have a theme day. Each day we want to have something that they can look forward to doing, because this is their summer, and we want it to be entertaining as well. So it'll be, the camp that we definitely know about is for incoming 4th grade to, we've extended it to 9th grade. So entering 4th through 9th. And we're hoping that they'll approve the K-3 summer camp. So we're waiting to hear on that before we make any plans. But that's pretty much what I have, if you have any questions.
What's the status on pre-K enrollment?
Pre-K. Right now we've got 35 students who have enrolled, and I'm glad you said something about that, because tomorrow I have my bucket out here. I'm calling every pre-K parent and talking to them about the program and what to expect. We are going to be extended. Mr. Hopkins talked today about how to advertise that. So I'm open to some suggestions. I was going to put it on a robocall, but then I didn't want to overcrowd the call with too much information. So that is something that in the next week we could put it on a robocall. I don't know how else to advertise.
Some things that you talked about, the extended hours and those things.
Yes.
To make sure we promote that,
Mhm.
and we're going to try to get that out there. But
To
again,
let
we're
them
putting
know.
out so much information. Like I think I've
Right.
had 2 phone calls from us since I've been in here.
Right. Right.
You know, we kind of spread it out. If they won't listen, you start getting listen. Another dead burn call.
But Sandy did advertise it for us in the Good News, so it'll go out in the magazine and a nice size advertisement too. So But I'm open to suggestions how we can get the word out.
But we are extending the time. What
We are. It's going to be, well, we've talked to Mr. Bobbitt, and he had said maybe 8 to 2:30. And we want to get students out before the next crew comes in to pick up students.
Is it possible for them to start prior to 8 since parents most likely have to be at work at 8?
We could do that. That is a possibility. As a matter of fact, one of the pre-K teachers mentioned that she would like to see that happen too. So what are you thinking, maybe 7:30? Or 7:45?
7:30, 7:45, 7:40-ish.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, just to have the ability to drop both students off at the same time.
Right. And that's a good thing. When I talk to parents too, I can kind of gauge and see if that would benefit them as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think advertising that, the sooner the better, making video content. getting
Yes. We need to
That'll
put
make a difference for parents.
Mr. Hopkins on a video before.
And the kids, at the library, they're doing a summer program, so if you all want to go there and set up over the summer, like if you don't have enough kids prior to getting there, they have a summer program going on, so you're more than welcome to come there and set up a table to get
Okay.
kids registered.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
Great.
Or you
Yeah.
could go to the rec center table. Maybe
Right.
capture some kids at the rec center one day.
Yeah.
There's probably lots of options.
I'm sure you normally do daycares and other things around that are sort of organized as businesses, right? To pass out information.
Yeah, and churches.
I
So
mean,
we talked
sort
about
of
First
normally
Pres,
First
for
Pres,
example.
stuff like that.
Right.
First Baptist too has a 3-year-old program.
Yeah. Okay. That's something we'll tackle then. Thank you for your input.
It's easy to give input, right?
Yeah, well, it's helpful to me. Yeah.
More work, but
Yeah.
you know, and having said that, 35 in April still feels like we're in a good range, right?
It is, but we were at 31 a couple weeks ago, so we haven't added that much more. So it would be, yes, so, yeah, we definitely want to
What's
pull
our
more
projected,
students.
what's our goal? What's the threshold? What are we trying, like, what's the number what we're shooting for?
Well,
To have, we have, what, 4 teachers?
4, yes. I think we had 58 students at one
I was gonna
time.
say it's like 13, is that, am I thinking right?
Now, what's the capacity per class with a teacher and an aide can have?
Yeah, 20.
80 total,
You can have 20.
80 total children for the pre-K.
How many?
80 total is the
Okay, you can
maximum.
have 20, 10 to 1, okay.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. We have a treat tonight. Ms. Warden, thank you for coming. Talk to
Save the
us.
best for last. Mr. Hopkins asked me if I would just come and kind of speak for a minute on school safety after the tragedy that happened last week. And I was actually in Murfreesboro last week when that happened, and was scheduled to be in a session with a safety school center director, and she got called out during our open session. So I've since talked to her a little bit and got some information from her today. But I don't know, some of you do know, some of you don't know. We apply every year for a Safe Schools grant. And before I took over safety for the city, for the school system, we got a Safe Schools grant, but it was minimal amount. And so we used that money for like bus monitors, replacing cameras, things like that. So in 2018, we got an increase in that. And so since then, that grant, we write that grant every year. And along with that, we have to complete, it's usually done in the summer, we have to complete an assessment of the physical building, like the building, the grounds, and all that. That's done, it has to be done by an administrator and law enforcement. So a lot of times that's our SRO, now that we have an SRO in the building. So they do that, and then based on what they find, that could be something like more signage, it could be lighting, fencing, anything like that. So whatever that, and there's a rubric that you turn into the state, and you score yourself on the walkthrough around the building. So that's what the money is based off BEP. It has been in the past on BEP, but what you're allowed to spend it on is based on that assessment that your administrator and your law enforcement does. So for the last 5 years, we have spent a bulk of our money with a company called EverSafe out of Huntsville. Some of you may have heard of them, some of you may not have. But they're the ones that do the laminate on our windows in the front of our buildings. So with that first year, I met with the owner of the company, and we walked through and we did an assessment. And I said, this is the amount of money that we have to do this.
what do you think is our priority? And he said, your front entrances and your back entrances. So the first year, the bulk of our Safe Schools money was spent on putting the laminate on the front of our buildings. And that was the reflective, not what's there now, but the reflective. And that goes on the inside and the outside. And it's bullet resistant. It's not bulletproof, but it's bullet resistant. So that's what we did the first year. And so then as time moved on, we did like a 3-year. We're actually in phase 5. We're just finished in phase 5 with that company. But we did a 3-year plan to begin with, because I said, this is the money that we have this year. This is probably what it's going to be next year and the next year. What can we, what do we need to do to keep our kids safe? Because that's our number one priority. So the second year we went around and we did exterior doors and windows in addition to what was already on the front, because we knew the front was safe. Since then, we have gone through, we have put, as all of you know, when you go in, there's signage on the front. It has the logos on it. It has the instructions on how to get in our buildings, how to access them, the instructions, that kind of thing. That is an extra layer of perforated vinyl that goes on there. That is an extra layer of protection, not only the 2 films that are on the inside and the outside, but that's an extra layer. And so we did that. And one day I think it was in phase 3, we're standing, because we meet every year and we go over what we want to spend our money on, how are we going to get the most for our money. We were standing in the lobby of the middle school, and he said, do you see that right there? And I said, what? And he said, no one should be able to come in this inner lobby and be able to see in your commons area. We don't think about that. And he said, you need something there, which now we have it, where people that are in here cannot see your students in there. And so I started thinking about that. Now that was before we had the new vestibules at the high school and at Askins. So I said, I never really thought about that. He said, what people can't see, they want to shoot through what they can't see, which made a lot of sense to me. So immediately I got with the principal, said, what do you want on your windows? He gave us some proofs, mock-ups. We proved it, we got it on there. So that's another layer of protection. So the bulk of that Safe Schools money every year for the last 5 years has been spent with this company. And I told you I was in Murfreesboro last week, and when I watched the video on the news that night of how that person got in, my first thought was, if they had that laminate, what would that have done? So that was on Monday night. On Tuesday night, guess who was on the national news? Mr. Gregory was on the national news. And if you get a chance, the name of the company is EverSafe Security Solutions. They have a website. You can go on there and you can look them up. They have a video where Williamson County SWAT team is shooting ballistic bullets through their glass, through their screens, and you will be amazed at what you see. They try to beat it with a ball bat. The ball bat wears out before they can get through. So to say it can be, the bullets can penetrate it, but it buys you time. The glass is not going to fall. The glass is going to stay together. That buys you time for your first responders to get there. So that's the idea behind that. So if you haven't been to the high school lately, what we're doing with the high school, I met with him last year. It should have been done by Christmas, but with all the supply problems, it's not in yet. But we are enclosing the library at the high school. And so but
they've started now.
They've started it. They put the frames up. So I met with him a couple of years ago, and I was talking to Eric about this. They've talked about closing the library in before, but the problem is going to be mold for the books. You have to have airflow to come through to be able to keep the books from molding. So they have this screen now. It's stainless steel screening, and so I met with him and told him what we were wanting to do. So they have the frame up now, and what it is, it looks like it's always been there. And I was out at the high school last week, and everybody that I talked to in closing the library, and she's like, this looks like it's always been here. Like, it's beautiful. The doors are not up yet. The doors are on back order. They should be in a couple of weeks. But it's a frame, and it has this metal screen that you can't like beat it out. You can't, it's pretty much indestructible. So they have that up now. The doors are going to come in. They will have the laminate on them so that you won't be able to get in. So if there's a lockdown or something, now the library can be closed off and be safe. In the back, there's open areas over those back bookshelves. There's going to be screen put up there. And what it'll be, the way we designed it is it'll be 2 panels. There'll be one that's stationary. There'll be one that is hinged and has a latch on it. And that'll be for egress. If somebody needs to get out back there, you can open that side up and get out. But that'll be all screening so that the airflow can come through there. So we're looking forward to that. But go by and look at that. When we get that all installed, go by and take a look at that. But that's where a bulk of our money is coming this year. But in last year, with this assessment, I got a call, I think on a Monday, and it was Homeland Security saying, we want to come and look at your schools. And I said, okay. I said, well, when would you like to come? He said, Wednesday. And I said, okay, we can do that. He said, it's a random. We're just going to do a random, come in and look at your security features and all that. I said, okay, what school do you want to go to? And he said, Askins. Well, Miss White Knight was a new principal. We had a new SRO out there. So I said, okay, what time do you want to come? So I called Miss White Knight, called the SRO. We got together. We had a meeting. He came. He was very impressed by what our security measures, like he was so impressed. He said, y'all are way ahead of the curve. Of course, there's always room for improvement when it comes to school safety, but he was very happy. He drove around before he came in. He drove around. The only suggestions he really had for us was about Kiwanis Park. He said we need to fence it off, and we explained to him we can't. He said that would be one thing that he would recommend. Another thing was more signage, and we always can do more signage. So Ms. White Knight did a great job. The SRO did a great job. He went through our assessment that we had the previous year, and he said, you're way ahead of, and he mentioned counties around us. He said, y'all are way ahead. So, like I say, there's always room for improvement, but hopefully, I hope we see more money coming, but we know the SRO grant, we write the SRO grant every year. That's going away this year unless something changes.
The governor is looking to do the whole state.
Good.
SROs.
Good.
For every school.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I got a blip on that today.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So hopefully we're going to get at least as much money as we've been getting, and we can keep going and enhancing our security features. So, do y'all have any questions?
The day that they had the shooting in Nashville, I walked outside and we had 50, 75 kids playing outside. There's no protection for them unless the SRO's standing out there with them, and then the school's not protecting them. Right. I don't know what the answer is to protect two groups like that. I guess that's what the people meant by fencing off part of it. At least you got them confined in there. But anybody could come down Shady Lane and just do whatever they wanted to do. It really scared me because I was happy that our kids could play outside. You could hear them laughing and screaming and carrying on. But it scared me that, they're outside and some idiot could walk out there and just do whatever they wanted to do. So if there's a way to look into that a little better, I'd like to see that done.
We spoke about that a little bit, Tommy. It's just with it being a city park, it's tough back there to be able to close off a city park.
But nobody else uses it during the day except our kids. I mean, there's a man that comes over there and sits and reads and the shelter.
I guess which we didn't vote or anything like that, when that study went on, we talked, and I just think that if anybody wanted to, I know many people don't use it during the school time, but it's available if they wanted to. Right. And just shutting off a city park would be tough.
Well, I don't think shutting it off is going to work, but if something's got to be done. Whether we have another SRO standing out there with them when the kids are outside playing or something.
Right. Yeah.
At least they can fire back.
Right. Yeah, it's a hard thing. Nothing on earth is 100% safe, right? All you can do is put in reasonable measures, because we don't want our schools to look like or feel like prisons to the students or the faculty or the community. I think of that playground that's out at the corner of Bagley and Shady there. It's fenced in, but it's a chain link fence, and that's not like some high security keep people out kind of fence. Sadly we live in an evil world, and we at least live in a world where people have devised evil plans, and if they have resources and plan and intent, it's you just have to do things. I never really thought about the the screens, as you described them tonight, being, it's not that they can't be broken out, it's that it's buying you time.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I
time
watched the
is
video,
really
and it is
key.
incredible.
Yeah.
Because Eric sent it to me, 'cause Riverside doesn't have anything on their doors right now, nothing. So of course, parents with kids there are like, so Eric sent it, and we passed that on to them, and they have Mr. Gregory come in and do an evaluation at Riverside next week.
He's
But
amazing.
The video was, sadly, it really, you watch it and you think it really could have meant a different outcome for that school.
Right.
Really.
The other key is as much as we are under sunshine law and all that sort of thing, some very few things about our system are protected because of just this reason. One is our security plan for our buildings and personnel, because you cannot let a person with malintent know how we plan to react to situations like that. But seeing all the headlines, was it last week when that happened, just was a reminder to me. I was very proud of this board because, and this involves board members who are no longer on this board, as well as the current board members, who invested in facility upgrades at all school entrances for this sole purpose, to try to make sure we are doing all, we can never be 100% safe in our lives, but we can do all, we must do all we can do to ensure maximum safety and still maintain a friendly environment of learning where children feel safe. You know, they have to feel safe and they have to be safe as much as we can. As much as we can do. And it made me very proud of what this board had accomplished. And I appreciate you detailing some of those things for us tonight, just specific to those Safe Schools grant and things we've been able to invest in. Plus, those things look great too.
Yeah.
The beauty of those screens is they just
The high
look
school,
awesome on the
yeah, when I was at the high school, I was very impressed because it looks like it's always been there. It blends in with all the other doorways. Like I say, the doors are not up because they're on back order, but the framing, they're, yeah, it's amazing. So hopefully they'll be in the next couple
Well, I
of
was just gonna say, that not that anything would stop, and I don't want to criticize, obviously, the school, but the two things that we do, that we have, that, you know, would have really helped them that time was that screen and an active SRO, and, you know, they did not have either one of those, and so it does, parents should feel comforting that, you know, that is a layer that we do have of safety in our schools, and so the city does need to be commended for helping us with the
Partnering with
SROs.
us on
I mean,
it,
because.
it's real.
You know, I mean, it would have been a different story, you know. You could imagine if that was going on, you know, rather than a custodian being the very first line of defense there, it would have been an armed SRO. And so that's very, very nice. Right?
And a lot of times you hear about response times. You hear 4-minute response time to the active shooter. The thing with my kids in the school system that y'all have done amazing with, we have an instant response time at all 3 of our schools.
That is correct.
We have no shared officers. Each school has a primary SRO, so if business hours are in or after hours schools, we're there. So that's a huge deterrent also, because we are highly visible. You're going to see our cars out front. We're going to be there, and we're going to be ready. So
It's very comforting.
Thank you.
Fantastic report. It's sad that we have to invest and concern ourselves with such tragic realities of 2023, but all you can do is prepare for it, right? Thanks. Ms. Williams.
See, March financial reports, these were emailed earlier today, and this is just for your review, and if you have any questions concerning the revenues and expenditures financial reports.
No action required for our information.
And I didn't have a big bill on that, did I?
I scanned it thoroughly, but I didn't yet. So I'll keep that.
All right, thanks. Committee reports, facilities, transportation.
That y'all are gonna visit.
Yeah, at some point. Is it the birthday? Yes, I thought you had a conflict, though.
Yes. Listen, has it been on?
So, what are we gonna? I can be flexible with whatever's good for y'all. We already decided.
You don't have a schedule now, but I know
Right.
that y'all are, that they're gonna go and visit.
For the 19th.
Tentatively for the 19th.
I'm sorry, I On a side conversation, we'd had this conversation
Campus
about
tour.
the night, was it the next, meeting that we were gonna have, which is the 19th, is that right?
Okay,
But if that doesn't work, then I'm open to whatever.
I'm fine. I
And
just thought
the
that-
subject here is the
what is
facilities committee is gonna be taking a tour of campuses for any board members that wanted to join on that. So Mr. Jones,
For the night.
it's scheduled for 4 o'clock on Wednesday, the 19th of April currently, but it sounds like there might be some scheduling.
Well, now we
challenges
have a work session scheduled for that Friday.
For that Friday, well, we're going to
So-
schedule that tour.
We'll have to look, we can look at it.
Okay, well, just let us know. Great, anything else? Facilities, transportation? No? Okay, finance, several things that have to do with the FY '24 budget. And in our, we were emailed out a copy of the proposed 2024 general purpose budget. And I find one of the most useful pieces of paper on that is the summary on page 1, which actually outlines budgets from 2020 all the way through 2024. And I trust that you either have a hard copy or access to a soft copy of that. And I would defer to Ms. Williams for any information she wanted to share with us about the 2024 budget, or Mr. Hopkins, either one. Anything you wanted to use to describe it.
Other than it's the best shot we've got, I mean, the best understanding we have with the information we have from the state at this point in time, because they've not released full TISA information yet.
Well, you're right here, yeah.
So we still don't really know what the revenues are gonna be like, because it's a whole new way to fund public education, and
That's correct.
they haven't told us what the final answer is, so all we can do is plan.
So in the budget summary, the total projected revenues are $13,384,884, and the same for the total expenditures of $13,384,884. So if you look on the next 3 pages, that is a detail of what we're projecting for the budget revenues. And I'm going to point out that we will be projecting to pull $641,966 from fund balance, but we're hoping that will decrease based on attrition and increased number of kids. And also, as we apply for federal programs, that we can pull some of those salaries from the GP over into the federal programs budget. And then, so the pages from pages 4 through the last page, 25, is the detailed expenditures per function or category. Any questions concerning the GP budget? This does include a 2% increase, and also it does include an increase of 8% for health insurance. We're not for sure the cost increase for health insurance, but we're projecting, hopefully, it was 6 last year, so we hopefully maybe put 8.
You like to be conservative.
Yes.
And this is also with present staff.
Right. Current, today.
Today's staff.
Today's staff.
Yes.
Move we approve it.
Okay, got a motion to approve the FY '24 budget, and I have a second.
Do we need to abstain after we just had that conversation at the work session?
That'd be up to you as an individual board
I've never
member.
abstained before, what do we do? We just don't?
Just
So-
state that you have,
Conflict of interest, not
and-
going, I'm gonna abstain from this vote.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and based on that, I'm gonna assume that you probably didn't want to second that motion. And so I'm gonna say we've got a second, and you're withdrawing that motion. I'm asking, okay.
Yes.
Great, just want to be clear.
Yeah.
So I have a motion and now I have a
Second.
second. Excellent, excellent. And I've got duly noted that we have 2 abstaining from this. So it will require a unanimous vote of the remaining 4 board members. The last thing I would say about the budget is, I mentioned this in the work session, but just so that it is in the public meeting as well, of the actual board meeting, Ms. Williams added a line to the bottom of this budget summary so that after the school year is closed out and the audit findings are in about where we actually stood that year financially, that number will now appear each year through this 5-year sliding window of budget. So, for example, in the 2020 budget, we were budgeting that we would, and again, it's just a planning document, but we were budgeting that we would bring $571,915 out of fund balance. When the school year was closed out, the audit findings were that we actually added $9,281 to fund balance. We were not under budget. The next year played out similarly. We were budgeting a little over $1 million to take out of fund balance. Again, and this planning document, in the end, we took $226,430 out of fund balance. The next year, we were projecting, there's only 3 of these, so I'm not going to drag this out. 1.302 million we were projecting would need to come out of fund balance. In the end, we actually added 552,806 to our fund balance. And so across those 3 years, we were actually up about $250,000 overall, adding to fund balance, even though if you looked at the budget, the basic budget, it looked like we were going to be we were going to have to bring money out of fund balance. Overall, we were actually up those 3 years. And it's just the way you do. You underestimate, or you estimate very conservatively your revenues and very conservatively heavy on expenditures because you don't want to have gotchas built into your budget. And the budget is just a planning document. But once the auditors come, we know how that year actually closed out. And I just commend the system for being able to really manage the budget so that we are in that position financially. So we don't know, of course, we're showing 966 would need to be brought out of fund balance for the current school year, but based on the previous 3 years, there's every reason to believe that will not be what happens. And we won't know until June 30th, we close out the books, and then the auditors come through and actually confirm where we are. So we'll be anxious to see what that number is. But we expect it to be far, 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 far less than 966. So anyway, that was the only discussion I wanted to have. I really appreciate this, all you do, but that's, I think, a very helpful insight into how the budget actually plays out on an annual basis. So, any further comments or questions before we vote on the FY24 general purpose budget? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say no. Great. Note that is 4 votes in
Sorry.
favor.
I take that.
I didn't count. I
was going through the motions.
I thought you sneezed. We also have
You vote on the cafeteria now.
FY24
cafeteria budget, and that was in our.
That was emailed out last week also.
Okay.
With projected revenues of $828,248, and the same with expenditures of $828,248, and this also does include 2% increase and the 8% in health insurance.
And before we make a motion or anything, one of the things we discussed at the Finance Committee meeting is that those revenues include $502,773 and for lunch from USDA in revenue, and also $239,782 for breakfast from USDA. So that's, remember that community CEP program that allows every student to have free breakfast and free lunch every day. The revenues are in there to support that this year through that grant. So that program of students being able to have breakfast and lunch at no cost will continue in the 24 school year. That's great. That is great. So, floor open for a motion that we approve the FY '24 cafeteria budget.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say no. Great. And then we also have the FY '24 capital projects budget.
Yes, that is in the amount of $3,732,920.77, and the bulk of this is in the FEMA project of $3.5 million, which leaves about 200 left to do our, what we have been projected to do with our capital project budget. That is included in that working at the new gym renovations, the water rehab phase 2, the water line replacement, the Ralph Askins cooling tower, and I also did budget a van in there to be used for staff and driver's ed.
Okay. In addition to the van.
In addition to
that
what Regina
Dotson
had.
talked about, this is
Yes.
yet another van
Yes.
that we would have budgeted for.
Have a fleet.
That's a good idea to have a van for driver's ed.
It is, that was Mr.
That was, I mean, that's.
No, that might have been,
That
was
was
that
ad.
Mr. McCormick's, that was his idea. Yeah, of course.
What about
I'm
these
glad I'm not
sidewalks
taking
and
driver's ed
paving?
and driving van.
The sidewalks and paving, is that
You'd
some
be a
of the
better
things we
driver
talked
that way,
about?
that was sort of van.
Sidewalks and paving?
Sidewalks and paving.
Yes, that, if we want to do sidewalks and paving, that would go along with the canopies and things of that nature.
Okay.
Various
We have, yeah, that's not budgeted in this from what I understand at this point. Is it?
Not the,
Not awnings.
the
or anything like
awnings,
that.
but just the sidewalks and paving.
Okay.
As necessary.
There's 56,791 in there in this capital projects budget for sidewalks and paving that has been designated, so.
And Mr. Jones, for the dome project, didn't you think things were getting better on the material side as well as far as?
Yes, should be getting better. Not only that, the work demand on the contractors is diminishing, so we're excited to have the possibility of when it does get to go back to bid, that we'll have multiple bidders and potentially get more competitive bids, which may even allow us to try to tighten up the time frame. So instead of maybe a year and a half, we could shoot for 14 months or something.
Oh, wow.
You know, so we're hoping that's the case.
That's good news.
It all remains to be seen.
That's
I'm not
chicken.
chicken. But I'm excited about the possibilities.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, any further questions about our capital projects budget for FY '24? Floor will be open for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Right. Very good. And then we have, as we have come accustomed, we have invoice number 17 this month for Broadus and Associates in the amount of $19,335 for project and program management services on our FEMA project. And I would make the motion that we approve that and send it on to the city ultimately to be paid. All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. Fantastic. Thank you. And that wraps up the Finance Committee matters. Insurance and policy, please.
Okay, I move that we approve the changes on policy qualifications and duties of the director of school. That's 5.802 for the first reading.
Okay. And that was just two changes really that we had proposed in the wording of number 3 under financial management and number 4 under community and public relations, as I recall. Okay. And that was a motion, as I heard. I got a second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. Great. Thank you for that. And Mr. Hopkins.
Okay, I would like to recommend that upon review by our legal team, and they have no changes, that we enter into a contract with Accelerate Education for our virtual school.
Just
Are we gonna
further discussion.
add a caveat in there about review of attorney review?
That's what
and-
It's
Yeah, I
subject
said-
to the motion you can make.
Okay.
That was
Or not.
my recommendation is
Okay.
that upon review by legal,
Oh, okay.
that, and no and no changes, that we approve, we enter a contract with Accelerate Education. But that's, after review, there's no changes to the contract, as it
Okay,
is.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Is that, so make a motion to do so?
Okay, all right, got a motion? I got a second. Any further discussion on that? We're very excited about the potential for our system and the community, really, to be able to offer this option. And we also discussed in the work session, looking to any policies that might be recommended by the attorneys at TSBA relative to virtual school students and how we run that portion. All right. If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. All right.
And I'd like to recommend that we approve the resignation of Miss Tanya Bradford. She is a tenured teacher.
So moved. She already left.
It's a fine point in the law.
You can't say no.
He said, no, she still's leaving, she's still leaving.
I got a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Ms. Tanya Bradford. We're gonna miss Ms. Bradford. She was one of the pillars on Tiger Hill for many years, and we owe her a lot for all the work she did with our engineering program as well as math for many, many years. Appreciate all she's done for our students. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. Okay?
One other thing, just an announcement that Mr. McCormick had sent me, so we put that, the city police department is running drills in our high school building tonight. So if any of you get phone calls, saying what's going on or whatever it is, we've known about it, but just to put it out there, they're running drills there tonight till 7 o'clock. So anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay, so in your package, you saw a letter of resignation from retirement from Mr. Hopkins. And so we need to accept, do we? I guess we're in contract. We're in contract with him, so we should probably take.
Unlike her. I don't know that you have to. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm not tenured, so.
Yeah, I think we have a contract with you, so we should probably accept it by vote. It doesn't hurt anything. My understanding is that you were setting June 30th as your intended
The last
last date of official employment with the city of Fayetteville, because that syncs up well, with the city school system, not the city of Fayetteville. So through June 30th, he would intend to work. So. Sad day, isn't it? So, I'll make a motion that we accept his letter of resignation / retirement.
This is the quietest we've ever been.
Don't tell my wife.
I'll make a motion.
She made a motion.
Oh, did you? No, I don't
Said
think
I'm
she-
not making.
She said she's not. I'll make a motion.
Okay, that's the same thing she did when I.
Rolling dice.
A second.
Okay, I have a second. Any comments
Not yet.
that you can say in a public meeting?
We still got till June. haven't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we'll have more to say on this topic later. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed say no. All right, board members, we do, like to make nominations for TSBA annual awards. And this year, the recommendation has been to nominate Corey Smith as our Systems Volunteer of the Year. So we'll need a...
Make a motion to
Okay.
approve Corey Smith as Volunteer of the Year.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. And, oh, right. And also we have a recommendation to approve Kinsley Bryan as our Student Award nominee for the year, which is exciting as well. Got a motion? And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say no. All right. We have a resolution that was in one of your emails this month through this is through our U-Trust awards program. This month is a resolution of appreciation for our support staff. Whereas the support staff members in the Fayetteville City School System are an outstanding group of dedicated school employees who care deeply about the students. And whereas our support staff honorees include school secretaries, bookkeepers, attendance clerks, receptionists, SROs, teacher assistants, and nurses. And whereas our teachers and administrators depend upon our support staff members to prepare learning materials, operate the office, and carry out business functions of the school, tutor, counselor, advise and guides individual students, and perform a variety of other activities that result in an improved learning environment for students and their teachers throughout the school year. And whereas our support staff is made up of individuals who have shown a commitment to our school and the students they serve, and whereas most members of our support staff bring into our schools a pleasant personality, common sense, a calm demeanor, peace and safety, now therefore be it resolved that the Fayetteville City School Board of Education hereby establishes April 6, 2023 as Support Staff Appreciation Day. And we are encouraging also further that the schools, that each school recognize and join in the celebration of these individuals on that day for all they do for our school system. And we're also resolving that they use the Toy Story theme to celebrate School Support Staff Appreciation Day. That should be a lot of fun this year. I'll make a motion that we approve that resolution.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say no. During our work session today, we worked out some final wording for a vacancy announcement that we intend to, that I'll work with Ms. I trust you will as well, Ms. Williams, to get this posted both to our website as well as notifying TOS, TSBA, media outlets and whatnot of the vacant, soon-to-be vacant superintendent position here at Fayetteville City Schools. And so we made a few changes to the actual announcement, but that, trying to think, I assume we should probably take a board vote just to sort of authorize the publication of that, since that's our one position we hire and fire. So I would make a motion that we post this position tomorrow as we worded it during the work session, and Ms. Williams will finalize, and that we then also notify all of the organizations and media as we discussed. Make that motion. Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say no. All right, and just FYI, that time frame would be that it'll be posted tomorrow. Applicants would have through midnight, April 18th, 2023 to apply, and that application would include a formal letter of intent, a resume including accomplishments by position, and 5 professional references. And those will be actually sent to my email and my home address, and it'll be in the announcement. And then we'll gather together. The board is calling a work session at 9 a.m. on Friday, April 21st, to review, kind of reveal and review the resumes, and then we'll begin the review process with hopes of, we'll see where the board goes at that point. Depends on how many applicants we have and how deep the stack is and how long it's gonna take to get through them. But ultimately, then we would be in a position to move out as soon as the will of the board. So, exciting times ahead. Our next board meeting is Monday, May 1st. 5 o'clock, everybody, schedule-wise, look good for that date. The last thing I was gonna say tonight, and I've said, I feel like I've talked way too much, but there's been a lot to talk about tonight. And that is with the school safety improvements that we've made at all the buildings. I was thinking particularly about the high school when you were describing the library and the screens and whatnot and the entrances. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but TSBA says it's Fayetteville City Schools' turn to host the fall district meeting.
Great.
So your commute to the fall district meeting will be really short, which is great. It's always a great time to highlight the things that are going on in our school system. And I was thinking, won't that be a great, we should have all that done before fall. And
Yes.
so that'll be a lot to really show off and be proud of what we've done for
We know
school
the dates
safety.
for that.
What now?
We know the dates for that?
You know, I don't know that we know the exact date yet. It's like a several, you know, they have them all across the state. They don't have the exact dates on the, they don't have, it doesn't include the dates yet. But we'll get that to you just as soon as they know. Some of it has to do with when the schools are able to host that particular district. You know, South Central District schools will all come here. So that's exciting. I remember Fayetteville High School hosted one right after we started the high school, and it was a great way to showcase what we were doing, and this one will be the same. The school systems all over South Central Tennessee. Any board members know of something I've forgotten or have something you wanted to mention? Okay, well, thanks to everyone for all you've done to make this successful. We'll stand adjourned.